the principal, Mr. Chandra, the manager, Mr. Govind Singh, other executives of the school management board, representatives of the Ministry of Education, the media, Mr. Rudy the Secretary of the Commissioner Central, Mr. Joseph Lako, Divisional Police Command Assistant, principals, head teachers of neighboring school, invited guests, parents, guardians, staff, students, and well-wishers. Very warm and hearty welcome to you all. I guess this occasion is mostly for the students, and the annual prize giving day is for the students. And although I think such a nice and lovely welcome, but it was not that needed, as it is an honor for me to come here anyways. Thank my brother, Mr. Chalet, for also inviting me here. And if the invitation was to help to actually do some gardening for the school, I would be here as well. So, the students, just want to tell you that there are some things that we achieve and some things in us grow up, but there are some things that remain the same. And that something is the experience of sitting in the middle of two principals. When I was a student, like you, I used to be very scared of my principals. So we share a similar experience. I must say, there is a difference between achievement and recognition. And for the past 5 or 6 years, I have been out of Fiji. And last year, I decided to return to the country and whatever I have learned overseas to contribute to the development of this nation. But so far, I have completed my PhD less than 3 years and have several other contributions. But I did not feel that a recognition from the country. So I feel very deeply moved by the way the principal greeted me with his staff today. And thank you very much for such a, it is an honor to be here. Now I must share some words of wisdom. And there are a lot of high expectations, but it is common for me in such occasions I don't prepare a speech, because it's me and the students, and whatever comes to my mind, right here, right now, I will talk to you. I don't want to get you bored. I know you have been sitting there for an hour, and you do not have time to actually close your eyes. Two principles is for a bit scared, a bit afraid as well. I used to be a student and we have all gone through this similar experience, right? So, I have 2 or 3 themes that I want to talk to you about today. One is education, technology, and humanity. So, let's talk about education in Fiji. From my review as a student, as a student here in Fiji, I found let me share my experience with the principals and teachers. I found that the education system was very bookish then. By bookish, you mean that if you come to the class, the teacher tells you this, and that, you remember that, write it in the exam. Now, it's good to hear that you don't have the exam system, but there are other genuine concerns by teachers and the ministry and parents that taking out the exam system in Form 4, Class 8 and Class 6 then we have a higher number of students who don't know how to read and write. And they are promoted to further classes. I just came to know that my neighbor's son, who is a primary school kid, is in class 4, he cannot read a single sentence. And I'm wondering what is this system where he has come to class 4 and he cannot properly say ABC. So I'm sure he will go to class 6 and come to high school, and then such expectations will be there for him, from his teachers, and he will be really lost. So there are some things that the Ministry of Education and the teachers need to sit down and think about, and these problems need to be solved fairly soon, because later we find that the students come to university and they have serious issues as well. We have students who repeat one course for 3 years at USP. I have just marked their papers. And it is sad to know and see that the creative skills, the problem-solving skills are absent. Especially in the areas of mathematics, computer science and technology, we need more creativity. And how do we teach students creativity is something to think about. Can you actually teach creativity? Creativity is something that cannot be taught, but we can give examples so creativity can rise like a rose within the mind. So it's similar to planting a flower in a garden, right? You don't decide if the flower is going to grow, if the plant is going to rise. That decision is not in your control, but the decision, what you are in control of, is to put the manure, the water right on time so that the plant grows. And a time will come when the plant will flower, but you don't control it. So similarly, our teachers and our parents and even our children, students, need to understand that there are examples that we can give you in the education system about education and creativity, but that will only come to your mind by yourself. And that decision is for you to make when you give enough concentration, but you don't decide to be creative. You don't decide to be smart. It's something that you cannot decide for yourself. It will eventually happen within you if you give enough time and energy as a student. Similarly, I wish to talk about a similar area, which is humanism. Humanism is an area, an established area in philosophy, where we teach students about the society, about moral values, how to survive in the society, and do good for the society with a reference to religion. There are several religions, which have several parts, and sometimes they are conflicting, we know that, but humanism is one. It doesn't matter what religious background you come from. Kindness, compassion, humility, helping each other are some of the essentials that you should have to actually survive in the society. You know that you have been called a human being, and why do you call yourself a human being? The reason that you are called a human being is because of your actions. And those actions can be either good or bad depending on the education system you are exposed to. Right? The system of education determines what actions you will do. Right? So the education system in Fiji, I can see, is doing quite well. The school is doing excellent. According to the principal's remarks about the school performance in terms of extracurricular activities, competitions, and so on, the school is doing very well. But it was said to hear that there's some level of vandalism and several things in the school. Why do we have that? It's because students don't have, there's a gap with the education system and the behavior of the students. One thing to note is that the world has advanced. This is the 21st century, also called the age of information. And information and knowledge and wisdom are two different things. Just because you have information doesn't mean that you have the wisdom to be called yourself a human being. You just know that today, these days, we have mobile phones, the whole internet can be accessed here. In the next 2 years, this phone will be probably sold less than $100. There will be more smartphones in Fiji than people. So basically everybody has access to the computer. So now everybody has access to the computer, to the internet. The Ministry of Education, the government and our school teachers, for example the Fiji Teachers Union, they all need to sit together and think of the dangers that this phone can have for students. The internet is a place where there is free exchange of information. There's pornographic sites, violent sites, video games that are violent for you, and other video content that is not good for students. And free access to this student content is going to make the information age a dangerous age. So while the computer or the internet is very educational, it can be very dangerous. So these are some of the concerns that you should think about as teachers and students, and think about this. The other concern is media. The way we think about things is dependent on media. We know that we had certain level of media control in the government for the last 6-7 years, but now media is getting its freedom. But certain level of media freedom is just there for half an hour to give news about the country. There is some level of learning there for students, but we know that 90% of our TV system, the programs that we get in our TV is basically junk. It's junk entertainment. You don't learn anything. So the television is a very strong tool for our teachers, for the Ministry of Education to use the television to actually get to students. While the television, in future, I would like to see that Fiji TV, My TV and LBC TV, before 9 AM, they only play educational programs. We have programs, some reality TV about dating, we have MTV music videos, and several other programs such as Shortland Street, this street, that street, and all these things. They should be played after 9 PM. Before 9 PM, as teachers, students, you should demand that you should see educational programs. Maybe there is a half-hour program on solving mathematics. There is a huge amount of content in YouTube. Now, you can look at YouTube and do courses from Harvard University, Oxford University online for free. You have free access to the lectures. We tell our students at the university to make YouTube, to have access to YouTube. Content is free. And some of this content can be played in our local TV. Some of this content can be played in our schools during the recess time, lunch time, or after the school ends for an hour. This kind of halls can be very useful, and this type of contents can be played, where there is some awareness about technology, there are some documentaries about health, human body, biology, astronomy, and several other things that can help you students. But at the end of the day, parents and teachers and the government can only do so much. And these things that I'm talking about is something for the future. What is there for you now? What is there for you now is for you to decide what you want to make your life in the future. As students, you have to decide what you want to be in the future. Do you want to be a person in the prisons, or do you want to be a person with a good education, good career, a teacher, doctor, lawyer? And that is dependent on the actions you choose right now. The actions that you choose right now will determine your future. So as students, you should know what type of content you should see in the television, which is good for you. That type of basic information you should know yourself. As teachers and parents, you can tell students what type of content they should see. And as students, you should be very careful of the media. The media is a place where our corporations, let me emphasize you, what I mean by corporations, corporations are the companies that sell these products like Coke, Fiji drinks. Scientifically it has been proven that these drinks are harmful for you. They are the cause of NCDs. Our Ministry of Health is giving so much of awareness about NCDs. Then why do we have McDonald's, fast food restaurants, Coke, Fiji drinks and so on in our country basically? Why don't we have Fiji drinks sold in our restaurants, in our schools, when later they actually affect your brain, they affect your health? So these are some of the things the society needs to think about. And you know that when you go and see a movie in the cinema, before there's a nice ad on Coke, right? There's a nice ad on McDonald's, there's a nice ad in the television during the news hour, some of the ads you see, some of the products you see, smartphones, and you know that some of your parents are not in that state to actually afford some of these things. And you pressure your parents. So as children, you also have some responsibilities. And be aware of the content that you are watching that is actually motivating you to get into something or some actions where you want to buy a $500 phone, hundreds of dollars of clothes, just to compare with other students, right? Let others do what they want to do. You just know that this age is for you to get information and knowledge. This is not the time to compete, show off to other students about products, about the things that you wear, or to pressure your parents. When you pressure your parents, then they are stressed and they cannot communicate with you anymore. So think about these things, and parents, I think that in the society for the future, just as you know that now, if you want to apply for a car loan or a home loan, you go to the bank checks your status. Can you actually pay the loan back? And I'm sure that in the next 10 or 20 years, the government or there will be special programs that will check if parents can actually raise their children. Are they responsible enough to raise their children? How much time have they spent when they were single, or how much community work have they done? And giving birth to children will become a privilege, something that you need to apply for. Because we know very well that the reason that our children are not getting the right education is because of the fault of parents. There's too much of cover time, too much time of gossips around the village, but we don't have time for our children. We don't sit with our children and watch them revise their material. We don't even ask our children. I have seen this from parents. And your children is not your child for parents. Let me emphasize this to parents. The child is from God and you have been just a carrier. You don't own the child. Right? So if you are trying to impose your weakness to the child, or being irresponsible, that definitely shows